So I am now set up with the module. Core rules first.
Yep.
Going to import them. So how many did you say? How many items, etc. in Heart of Darkness?
They are on that little list there. There's 155 journal entries.
Hang on. Yes. 52 items, 28 entry actors, 7 roll tables, and 27 scenes. That's a lot of scenes.
Well, they're duplicated because I took somebody's advice. Oh, that was you. And I've now created scenes that are, some are walled and some are theatre of the mind. Part of the reason for that was that some of the scenes in Heart of Darkness are large, very large.
Yeah.
And if people didn't want to use those, there are non-walled versions that are slightly smaller, just to make it easier for people.
Yeah, not everything needs to be moved around with a token on it. So that's important. Let's see how long that takes. That was very quick. Everything has been imported, and then we get the how to use this module.
And that link that was not working
looks beautiful
in your other system is working fine now.
Yeah, it was clean install did it, definitely. So what have you got in it? What do you want to talk about? How long, actually, out of interest, just roughly, and I know you probably have the exact number, but how long does it take to get something like Heart of Darkness and put it onto Foundry here?
Heart of Darkness was interesting. So generally, for things like Destroyer of Worlds, Heart of Darkness, it took me about 3 weeks full time. So that's 8-hour days.
That's a lot of time
for 3 weeks. That includes the testing, creating all the actors, links and things like that. And that's got something I've got to change in it as well. For the bigger modules, CMOM was about 6 weeks, just because of the sheer volume of content, and the maps, because there are lots of maps. And part of that, obviously, is I'm trying to anticipate, or hopefully anticipate, a structure that a games master could follow quite quickly to understand where different things are. Doesn't always work. So with Heart of Darkness, from the point of view of the scenario, a little like Destroyer of Worlds, because it's a cinematic, it's only about 70 or 80 pages. We're of journal entries. Excuse me, where CMOM was 250, 300 pages of journal.
It's a big book, isn't it?
It is a very big book, very nicely done. But what I've done again with Heart of Darkness is I've merged the assets in new assets into the existing folder structures. So if you've got, and I always try to make sure, yet again, that's one of the other things with the modules, I always test that all of the modules work with all of the modules, so you can overlay modules. There are some, I think it's the hazmat suit in, the CBRN detection kit that comes with Heart of Darkness, also comes with CMOM. And
is it identical, or did they make a change somewhere?
Fortunately, it's identical.
Good. Because I've had that before, where you have like one source book and another one, they have the same item with different prices, different armor protection or whatever.
Yeah, I've had that problem with Symbaroum with the Game Master's Guide, because they've got items in there that are in other modules. They were in the advanced user, the advanced player guide.
Yeah.
But the description's different.
Okay.
So I've stuck with the APG description rather than create a new description or a new item. You don't want same item twice.
No. With Wayland Flammenwerfer, why did they use a German word for that, do you think?
I honestly don't know. And I looked through. I wonder if it's I wonder if flamethrower in Swedish is Flammenwerfer.
Could be.
Excuse my bad German.
Flammenwerfer, it's not bad. I mean, I would have to look up whether Swedish is the same. I don't think it will be. Yeah, the Flammen with a double M and like that doesn't look to me like Swedish. Flammenwerfer, Swedish. I think, unless it's a loan word.
I'm just checking.
So Swedish flamethrower translated. I want to know this as well.
No,
Flammenwerfer.
it's
Eldkastare. Eldkastare.
Yeah, I'm glad you said it.
Eldkastare, probably. I don't know. It doesn't sound Italian. The Swedish has got a very particular
I'm not sure why
intonation.
They've done the German pronunciation, German word for flamethrower.
Yeah.
I did notice that when I looked at it.
Maybe it's like, all the manga, and they always use German words, which often don't make any sense. But
it does sound a bit sexier
than
flamethrower. Flamethrower is quite boring.
Don't know. Depends what end you're in. So lots of setup work you had to do here.
Yes.
Right. Do you want to go on a little tour with me to see what's actually in it? Where shall we start?
Of course.
Do you want to have a look at where do we start? Journals?
So, journals, subdirectory of journals for Heart of Darkness.
Yeah.
I'm moving away from this in other systems and modules, but not importing all of the journal items.
Yeah, that was interesting because you started doing that on Ruins of Symbaroum.
Yes,
using the compendium much more.
Yes, the thing is, if I can produce a good index page, do you really need all the journals imported? Because you've really got them there twice, and when they're in a folder, it's tricky to organise them because I've got to number everything. I have to anyway to make sure they're unique.
Yeah.
So for me, I quite like the idea of not importing them all because it's a bit of less clutter. Because you've only got an index, then you've got.
Is there a drawback in that you can't search it as easily? Because in the compendium, if you look for it, everything is flat. You can't browse it as easily, I find.
Well, you can't. You still can't search for words inside something.
Yeah, but if I look, for example, here at items. Yeah.
No, I'm still importing. It's only journals.
Okay.
I'm still importing the items. So things I have to import are actors, tables, items, pins. So if you've got map pins, they have to be imported because you can't put a map pin that's in a
compendium. Yeah.
Compendium. So really, it's just the text, the book, if you will, that I'm not importing. I still tend to import handouts and things like that because I think people want quick access to those.
Yeah.
But for Heart of Darkness, everything is imported. So there's the all of the journal entries are there. There's an index that takes you to each one of them. There's a folder with all of the handouts.
Handouts, they're here, right? Yeah.
So, and then there's, without giving any spoilers, there are reports that the GM gives to people. You can click on it; it doesn't really say a lot. No, it doesn't actually. It's quite cryptic.
Yeah, I haven't got my journal scaler on. Otherwise, I could zoom in.
If you click on the folder that says Clark's reports,
yeah,
there are those which it's all right. They mean nothing to nobody, but they're reports that happen or you find during the scenario.
Okay, so you dish them out bit by bit. Now, hopefully, they do make some sense when you're in the scenario, though.
Yes, there is like a master document. I think it's where is it?
No one to spoil it.
There is a master document. Oh, Clark's clues in locations in the index.
Oh yeah, locations.
Clark's clues.
Okay,
and that has them all as in the order that people may or may not pick them up.
That's the omnibus.
Yes, that's all of it.
Good. Don't want to zoom into too far.
No.
Right. Okay, so lots of events. Is it basically one storyline, or is it sort of like 4 or 5 adventures, one after the other?
No, it's a single storyline, so it's very much like Destroyer of Worlds, where you go somewhere and things happen, and you deal with that, and you die.
It's a cheerful game, people.
It's
isn't
a very good. It's actually a very interesting scenario. I'm looking forward to running it. I don't want to spoil it for people, but yes, it is a nice scenario. You
has it got
a few good sessions?
I don't know whether you know Conrad's work, Heart of Darkness, but I think that was meant to riff on that, right?
I'm not familiar with it.
No, I don't.
Some people have said it's like Black Hole, and there's a clue in the cover.
Yeah, okay, can see that.
But no, I'm not familiar with that. To be honest.
Yeah, the cover reminded me a little bit of some others, like Emissary Lost.
It is a bit Coriolis.
But it's redder, it's darker, and there is this shape that is going here towards the title. Yeah, you've got this, looks to me like a double jaw coming down.
Yeah.
Which is...
I think it's my favourite cinematic, to be honest. As I say, as yet, I've not had a chance to play it. Once I've done one of these modules, I tend to try and keep as far away from it as possible for a little while because I'm sick of it. No offence to Freely, but you know, when you've looked at the same thing for 3 weeks, you don't really want to look at it anymore.
I know what you mean. Let's have a look at scenes, shall we?
Yes.
So you've got the split you discussed earlier, which is token maps or theatre of mind maps.
Yes. Part of the reason, if you scroll down a little bit, if you see you've got some of them don't have thumbnails, and that's because they are very big maps.
So if I go to the lower tower one, for example.
Zoom in.
I zoom in, I zoom in, I zoom in, I zoom in, and then we start seeing the grid there.
Yeah, and this is part of the problem, because that when you need a token map, you're doing it to scale. So
yeah, you've got it as small as you can make it as well.
Yeah, exactly. Each one of those squares is 2 meters. So when you get a really big map, if you go to Heart of Darkness actors, Heart of Darkness creatures, that's where the baddies. Well, that's where the new baddies are, and you can see that's quite a big new baddie.
Yeah.
So the token's a little bit bigger, but you know, it is a bit of a problem when you're, you know, when I'm designing them.
If you want walls and you want vision and all that, becomes very tricky. Because if I start zooming out so it's meaningful, then you start losing the tokens very quickly.
Yes, and this, to be honest, I found the same thing with CMOM as well. Colonial Marines has got some very big. I mean, the fortress in Colonial Marines is really big, and that's what got me thinking around that, to be honest.
So on the Theatre of Mind maps, if I go to the same lower tower,
it's hopefully as detailed but smaller.
That's smaller. Okay, we still have a grid on it.
Oh yeah, I lied. Actually, this might not be one of them. It was the main concourse, I think, is one of the biggest ones.
This one, Deck G.
F and G. They are massive maps.
Yeah.
Even when I sort of make them as what we got there.
Yeah, we still have a little bit of grid on it.
Yeah. I left the squares there people might want to mix and match. So if you click on walls, you shouldn't find any walls on that map. If you do,
No,
I need to go back and redo some
no
stuff.
walls. No walls.
Thanks for that. If you open the other that version of it, you'll find these have got walls and doors, but you're going to have to zoom in a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Now we can see it.
The other thing from my perspective as well is trying to get walls on some of these maps can be challenging, because if you've got a map on a table, it's a lot easier to have let's say representative tokens if you're using figures. With these, it's a lot more difficult. Map pins everywhere, which obviously I had to duplicate. But one of the good things about using journal actor links is it takes you to the respective bit. So it should take you, they're all pretty much on the same page. But
so bug storage. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. The links don't always respond as
sometimes you have to scroll down slightly. I noticed that before in other systems.
But so Theatre of the Mind maps and the token maps have all got links on, so I had to duplicate the links on everything. What else did I do? As usual, there's no lighting. I don't like putting lighting on maps. I like to leave that up to the GM, depending on the style of game they want to run.
These are systems maps, as I would imagine them being displayed on a screen or something. So lighting, I agreed, would make a lot of sense here.
Well, this one's actually got walls, and they are really complicated. If you're on,
I'm in the Tom.
Oh, you're on the Theatre of the Mind map.
So which one was it? H.
H.
Yes, because they're so fiddly here.
Yeah, I mean really fiddly.
You even have the transparency.
I try and keep. I try and keep it as best I can for visibility and things like that. So it's an airlock, so it should be
should be a door.
An airlock door. Those distillery tanks were horrible, because if you go, can you dump a figure on there?
Yeah. Actors. I thought I had that open. Yes, I do.
You have player.
Oh, I can already see what's happening.
Exactly.
What's that? Now I can start seeing it, but you can't see the map anymore.
It's a huge map.
Yeah.
But what I did with the distillery, the path down the middle, the plank.
Yeah.
If you put an actor there rather than a creature. And click on them.
Yeah, we've got the visibility.
So there are walls either side of it. So you're in GM mode at the moment, so you can move anywhere. But a player wouldn't be able to move into the big tank, but they can see through it. But there is a wall above it, so they can only see as far as they can't see any further than that or any further than that. If you go to the left or the right, you'll be able to.
Seems to be a bit slow in walking as well, so I'm just going to drag and drop.
Yeah, it's one of the again with larger maps, it can be a bit. It can slow things down a little bit.
Yeah, I wonder how people are going to use this. As I said, whether how many people are actually using this sort of map for token combat.
I don't know. But I don't. I'd rather do it than have people come to me and say, "Oh, You
No
haven't put any
walls.
walls on this
Yeah.
map.
Mhm.
We didn't want them to see the whole map. Yet again, putting walls on it means that the GM can use tools to wipe away fog of war, so the
Yeah.
players can get a bigger view.
There's a setting somewhere to say refocus the map on the active token. I really recommend you use that on this map, because otherwise you'll be looking for a while.
I use pointers and pings, so
Yeah.
you can do F right click, and that works quite nicely.
Yeah.
So there are quite a few maps.
Mm-hmm. And
quite a few new creatures now.
Creatures. Let's have a look at creatures. That's always fun. So we have in here, we have Heart of Darkness creatures. We have some really cool names, I have to say. Cuddles. Who came up with those names?
Not me.
Is that a Gaska special? Is it?
It probably is. When you read the description of the creature, I just noticed something I've got to fix in the core system. When you read the description of the creature, you understand why it's Cuddles. Yeah, that box is. I've just recently made a change today of the system, so it supports CRT UI, and there is a little buglet at the top with the formatting under Acid Splash, so I need to fix that.
For hover over it and the strings, it looks better.
Yeah, just keep your mouse on it. So these new creatures have got new attacks. So once again, within system, you can pull on the attack table up top left, and you'll get a listing. So this one, obviously, they come set with the ones that they are. So that's Cuddles attacks. So if you look at chat, you just did an attack roll. You should see in chat.
What have we got? Yeah, Toppling Lash.
And he rolled 10 base dice, and if you hover over the base dice, how many successes? One. That's enough.
Knocked prone, dropping any handheld items. Victim gains stress level +1 and must make an immediate panic roll. So,
yeah.
That's not automated yet, is it?
No, please. That's not easy. So people have asked me about that before with the system, about when you've got these things, can you make it give them a increase their stress and make it a panic, make them do a panic roll. The short answer is no, and the reason is that for things like attack rolls and critical injuries, I use roll tables. The reason I use roll tables is if people want to create their own roll tables for attacks and things like that, it's very easy for them to do it. All they need to do, so if you pick one of them, so all they need to do is copy the sort of format that I've used on one of those lines, and then you can make your own attack tables. The downside of it is I can't get the necessary information out of that to tell me that I need to do something once it's been done. And are you there? But shouldn't be there. But I can't get that information out of there easily to trigger the code that would say, oh, add 1 stress and do a panic roll for whoever attacked. So there's a bit of a balance between trying to keep it extensible for people to use Homebrew and things like that, or want to create their own tables, and that give that functionality. The only way I could give that functionality would be to embed all of the tables into code, and they'd be hard coded.
They would be hidden away.
And as I say, what that does is, that prevents other people from from doing their own tables and things. That was the long answer. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
It is a balance. I mean, if you look on the Alien Discord,
people are talking about that.
Discord, they do a lot of homebrew. And
people are using this sort of system for entirely non-aliens related games as well, different settings, etc. So if you do that, then of course you want to be able to change that, to have some access to it.
Yes, well, one of the things I've added to an actor sheet, if in the last one update, if you open an actor now and look at the drop down for Korea, there's one on the bottom that says Homebrew. And now, so what I've said to people is you can use that in concert with speciality. So you can flag that as Homebrew, create a now if you go to items and create a new item, just call it, I don't know, special, and now but change that to specialty. You can now put the data in there, you can change the icon, but if you drag that onto the sheet, it appears under there. So, you know, it's just a way to help people that are doing their own homebrew systems use the system, really. Which has got nothing to do with Heart of Darkness.
No, still interesting. He was a science officer, wasn't he? Scientist?
I believe so. Right click.
Right click, I remember. It just takes me a moment. Right click on the edit. How often have we had that discussion? All right. Okay. Not that I'm ever going to use this world here again, so I don't actually mind if something gets changed. So, this is one of those maps where I feel like I really want to be able to scroll out more, but I can't.
No.
That's the Theatre of Mind one, where you can, right?
You should be able to, yes.
Deck 8. Because that was one of the limitations. If you still want to have tokens, you lose the overview.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the Theatre of Mind maps, they're slightly smaller. So you can zoom right the way out and give people the entire deck plan. I can't remember in the scenario whether they get deck plans.
I haven't even read it, so I can't help you there. So we have some new creatures. We have new creature attacks. We've got the NPCs. Anything special with those guys? Or are they just normal?
No, they're... well, there's a cat.
Yeah, well... Almost looks like my cat. Almost looks like my cat.
Which has got skills.
Oh, he stalks. And he's got a signature item. Oh, lovely.
A signature item, yes. On my system, I actually created a critical injury table for
the cat.
Which is critical injuries for cats. When I was working on the critical injuries for the creatures.
Does it have its own panic table?
No, unfortunately.
Okay.
Panic tables are still a little bit locked in with the critical injury tables for creatures. I've changed those now. Well, I've got those now, so you can create your own critical injury tables for creatures, and it will roll a critical injury, post it to the chat, and create an item in the actor.
So is that in the mother table somewhere? Critical on synthetics, xenomorphs?
So they're the stock tables. Yeah. So if you opened any creature, doesn't have to be one of the new ones. It can be any. At the bottom, you can see critical injuries, and there's tables. Now, what this does, it's dynamic. So it looks for any table in the mother tables folder that starts with the words critical injuries.
Right.
And then it will create an item, it's posted it to chat.
And put it straight onto the injuries here.
Yep, you can click on to the thing. So what I say to people, yet again, I can't get that data out, but you could, if it, let's say it says that you're on -1 wits or something, speed, you can, if you click on if you edit that one, there's the modifiers tab, and you could say there, well, he's going to be, he's acid splash or observation is -1, his health is -1, so it will honor those modifiers.
Okay.
But yet again, I've created this in a way that people can create their own tables.
Yeah, makes sense.
And in the mother instructions, it tells you how to do it.
So if you know where they are, and everybody should know where they are, and look at them.
Oh yeah. If you scroll down to creatures.
It's quite a bit here, isn't it? There's the encumbered bit.
We should put an index on it.
Creature sheets.
Down a little bit further.
Attacks, critical
injuries. So basically, if you wanted to create your own critical injuries table, you create a 1d6 table, and then as long as each row had the format that it's got there. So less than B injury name.
Let me try something briefly. Whether this works. Journal links, Sorry, journal scaler. Creatures critical. Am I too far now?
Too far.
Weapons, vehicles.
Back down a bit. You've gone past it now.
There.
There it is.
Can I zoom in now? Yes.
Yes.
Makes it a bit easier to read on screen.
Yes. So if you scroll down just a little bit. So as long as that bit there, the greyish bit, as long as it's in that format, it will create the critical injury for the Xeno or for the creature, and post it to chat, and put a description in there.
Very handy.
So I've tried to keep it as simple as possible, because I'm a simple person.
Vehicles, yeah. We're talking far too much about the system in general and no Shadow and Darkness, but that's fine. We can maybe do a recap and I cut it at the end to the right bits. But these are all important things, and I think a lot of players will not necessarily read this and realize this, that you can do these things.
No, well, I've added vehicle crews now, so you can take a vehicle, you can put people in the vehicle and give them a number of roles.
Are there any vehicles in Heart of Darkness?
There are not.
Okay, let's talk about another time. Just trying to. So Heart of Darkness, we have talked about the maps, we have talked about the journals, we talked about the index. So if I work with it as a GM with this, what's the best way of doing it? Should I always have the index handy on my GM screen or something like that?
Most definitely. I would put it on the GM screen or somewhere you can easily get to it. It should follow the path of the book. So I try to make them as near to the index in the book as I can. And when I'm running other scenarios, I still generally have the book somewhere near me, just in case, because sometimes you need to look things up. Or my preference is the PDF, to be honest, because you can search quite easily for the PDF.
Yeah. What I try to do is on my GM screen, I build my own index for a lot of things I do. Of the things I know I need, so scene description or whatever, and then I have one of them as just story for today, and I've just got the relevant references in there. Makes it nice and quick.
Hopefully, if you're on a map, the links. So one of the changes with Heart of Darkness compared to other scenarios I've done is the map links link, because I've used journal actor links, they link back to the journal entry and not a map pin.
Yeah.
So rather than having to say on this, take the journal entry for that floor or level and cut it up into a number of chunks, I can actually go straight to that, or almost straight to that part in the on the sheet.
So if I just do that for a moment here.
So if you click on that, that should take you. So that basically, that's actually the entire journaling. This is a pretty simple one. There's only one pin on it.
And sometimes it's right at the bottom here. You should keep that in mind.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've got the maps on here. So if you have show artwork, I think it's called, you can again show this to the players as a pop-up.
Yes. It can slow down the journal loading time a little bit, but I like to put the map in there just so that people have got a visual representation. Additionally, if you right click in the bar at the top, you should have scene notes.
Scene notes, yeah.
And that will give you a map legend.
Oh yeah, that's where you stuck it now. Good.
So I've stuck it there. It's a lot easier.
Well, it's also on the map. Yeah, on this one at least.
Yes, but the players can't see that.
Oh, because it's walled off.
Yeah.
Unless you're on the Theatre of Mind maps, and then it isn't.
Correct. And also for the players in handouts, there's a legend in there as well. So the games master can permission the players to see the handouts, that in the handouts, and get to the level.
All right. One of the things that I see occasionally is basically that module authors are putting a link to the next entry down here at the bottom. Is that something you've entertained as a thought?
No.
No.
Not because I can't do it, because I've not thought of it.
All right. It's just, I mean, it doesn't really make sense because it comes from the idea of having a book in front of you, and this is not a book. Everything is linked anyway, and you can just have the index here on the side. But I don't know. It just appeals to my book reading habits, if you like, to just be able to flick to the next page.
Well, in version 10 of Foundry, and it's still work in progress by the Foundry guys, journals are changing. And what they're looking at is a journal is a bit more like a book with pages. And if you've ever looked at, I think it's Monk's, I use it all the time, it's Monk's journals. Monk's
Enhanced Journals, I think, yeah.
Monk's Enhanced Journals. It's got a very similar look and feel to that. Now that does in version 10, there is a previous page, next page thing on the side. So it might change in version 10, but no, it's not a bad idea to put a link to the previous chapter and the next chapter as a footer. The maps scale on the journals, so if you make that journal a stupid size, the map will actually get bigger so you can read it. I stopped constraining the map because I thought people, GM might want to.
Yeah, why constrain it?
A little bit.
I've had it before that it got stretched out of shape. Not so much here, but on some things that it really looked horrible.
Yes, it can happen.
But this seems to be scaling nicely. All right, and then you've got the events. And the events you probably want on the site as well. So it's very much the act structure. Do they get agenda cards again with different acts?
Yes, there are agenda and story cards, and they're all in the items section. and you should see HOD agendas.
Oh, yes.
And HOD story cards, and they've got, hopefully, the HOD story cards got different backs. Little icons for them are different to the other scenarios I've done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you can change them now.
Yes. Good.
Who
am I?
You can do that with lots of things. Yes, so they're still relatively text-wise basic as far as the system's concerned, but it means you can call them up on the system easier.
Yeah, I guess you haven't really ever considered implementing the agenda cards as cards, have you?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
The reason being is if you call an act, and this is the thing, if you call an act, if you can get an actor up, please. Anyone will do.
Anyone will do. No, that's not will do. Beastie.
No, a person, not a beastie. Yeah.
Hope's last day.
Holroyd. Yeah. If you open up Holroyd and drag an agenda onto him, and you do, and then go to the skills tab. If you click on it, it opens it at the bottom of the.
Yeah. You can read
it. So for me, I can't see the point of having them as cards because they're a lot more accessible, I believe, like this to the GM and the players. The GM can also very easily create his own agenda and story cards.
Yeah, that's true.
It's the same with talents, and if you want to create your own homebrew talents, you can. It's very easy to do.
All right. Sorry, just looking at the time a little bit.
Yep.
We've been talking for absolutely ages. So, do you think this is your finest work yet? Or do you think that the bestiary for Symbaroum is better?
I must be honest, the Symbaroum bestiary, at least the first chapters with the pretty pictures of the creatures, from a personal standpoint, I've wanted to do it for a very long while.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to try and recreate that feeling of the book.
It is a gorgeous book, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got it right here. The Monster Codex.
I've liked every Alien module I've done. I'll be honest, I think my Colonial Marines is probably the biggest one so far.
Yeah.
For me personally, for the complexity of it, the number of scenarios, the number of maps, the assets and things, it was a lot of work. They're all much the same. I haven't got a favourite really. Probably Simon.
Okay.
Is Heart of Darkness my finest work? I'll let the people decide.
Do you get a lot of feedback from people? I know that you have got your link now and the mother instructions about donating you coffee, buying you coffee.
That's for the core system.
Yeah, that's for the core system. But just to show the appreciation.
No, that's that, and somebody's actually pushed a button and gave me some money, which was very nice.
Yay.
The modules are fun to do. They are quite. It is very satisfying once I've got the module out there and it's all going. The core system probably takes a large portion of my time, especially with version 10 coming. But I always try and make and improve on the last module I've done. So with Heart of Darkness, you and I chatted about the maps and having the maps in there twice. Thanks for that. But it makes sense, and I think I do get really positive feedback from a lot of people, and people, pointing out where I've got things wrong and things like that. So I do get on Discord quite a lot of feedback from people with bugs and things.
I have to say
typos.
that this I like this UI. Yeah, I think this is very nice.
Yes, I think the blue's a little bit dark.
Yeah, black and blue can be a bit dark,
but I can improve on that. But no, I like it. Unfortunately, excuse me, and we're talking about the system again. When Franz Warm, who did a great job with the CRT UI, has decided he doesn't want to support it anymore. I thought, well, perhaps I'll merge it. Now I merged the character sheets and things first, because I thought I know how I can make it so people can switch between the two.
Right.
When it came to the UI, it's not that easy. So that's my standard character sheet, and you can't do it there, unfortunately.
Oh, pity. But you can do it in the settings somewhere. What are your settings?
If you go to Alien RPG settings, the second button down.
Yeah.
And there's CRT UI sheets.
Yeah.
Click that.
Go back to an actor.
And go to an actor, yeah.
NPC doesn't really matter, does it? Ah, yes.
And that's their one, which I've now changed to. So you can switch for and it's set by player, so a player can decide whether or not they want it or not. So if you've got some players that want to use it, they don't have to. In the same way as you can change the general settings for the fonts and some of the colors.
So if I wanted to change back as a player, how do I do that?
You go back to the configuration. Well, I could be really flippant and say the way you do it is you read the instructions.
How could you hear?
or actually you just press that reset button.
Oh yes, reset button. Yeah.
And you're back to the normal, relatively boring but easy to read one.
Yeah. Okay. Right now, this is going to be an interesting job for me to actually try and cut this together somehow. But one way or the other, this was very enjoyable as a chat. Not sure when I can put this out, or whether we'll just have a more scripted chat next time and record it in 20 minutes.
Probably.
It might be better, because we really got from one thing to the next, didn't we? And I still think that there's some of the things you've been talking about in the core system. I think people would really appreciate having a sort of talking head explaining from the development team, or from the developer team of one, to say this is basically what you have implemented and how you've implemented it, and maybe exploring the why a little bit. I think that would be really useful.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.